Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome co-founder and CEO of Combat Flip-Flops and U.S. Army veteran, Matt Griffin.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. Throw up the cool slide to start. The flip-flops and the moosh fighters. So words, they have meaning. They can elicit emotion, cause action, and today you can't even flip open your new iOS without feeling divided, confused, or angered. And as quickly as we, fall victim to those emotions, we tend to forget that words on the other side can be used to inspire, motivate, and drive you towards something bigger. There were a few times in my life where singular words had actually changed my path. Three of them specifically is empathy, forgiveness, and quixotic. I didn't even know what it was. So if you don't know, it's an adjective. It is being foolishly impractical in the pursuit of ideas, rash, lofty, romantic ideas, and marked by extravagantly chivalrous action. I still couldn't use the word in a sentence, so I had to go to the synonyms. Idealistic, romantic, visionary, and possible. And I thought about all of the moments that had led up to that word being in my life, which was written about my company by one of the most dominant financial and business publications on the planet. Wrote a half-page article about our company, essentially saying that it was impossible. And I thought about all of the moments and the examples that had led me to that position to read this article and those words, and I realized they were missing a synonym. American. Hey, GW, it's Christmas. Yeah, this whole paddling across the Delaware to kill a whole bunch of drunk Germans, it might change the tide, but it's probably a little bit over the top. Hey, JFK, the Russians, they've got this whole space race thing in the bag. They're years ahead of us, and although landing on the moon would probably be a benchmark in our species, it's probably unrealistic, expensive, and impossible at this point. I don't know about you, but that's the America that I grew up in, is that you could do anything you wanted to do. We defeated the impossible. You could be anything that you wanted to be. And all I wanted to be when I grew up was an airborne ranger. Live the life of guts and danger, right? And specifically, I wanted to be a member of the 75th Ranger Regiment to serve alongside legends who are known for accomplishing the impossible. It's just marked for it. And on 4 combat deployments and tours, we hunted down some of the nastiest, meanest radicals, fundamentalists, and terrorists that we would classify. But really, when we went on these tours, we found an enemy that was very much more profound and difficult. We saw a poverty that, unless you've seen it firsthand, you cannot possibly imagine it. Defunct educational systems, no opportunity for employment, lack of access to clean water and reliable food sources. It creates a poverty so profound that if you were to describe a very simple solution to end it, people would think you were crazy. Quixotic, impossible. In 2006, I left the military, and I continued to serve around the world in a medical capacity in developing nations, and I kept seeing one person making the difference in these areas that had so much poverty. It was entrepreneurs. These are guys that had no choice, that when push came to shove, they hustled. They had a problem, they took what they had, and they solved it. They reinvested, they hired their friends, their family members, their community, and all of a sudden you had some guy who had no opportunity before, had created the ability for his kids to go to school, employment for his family, clean water, food, making an honest, sustainable difference in these communities. And I was in Afghanistan and Kabul, and I was just thinking to myself, why aren't we investing more in that guy and these types of groups or people, because they're cleaning it up on their own? And as if being guided or being led, I ended up in a combat boot factory in Kabul, Afghanistan, watching hundreds of people work, and we were investing in that. As a nation, we invested in large industry and business in Afghanistan to create this type of sustainable change and opportunity. And in that factory, I saw a piece of footwear that changed my life. It was a flip-flop. We were going to make flip-flops in conflict zones to create that sustainable, positive change in conflict areas. I think Americans would buy that. And with our profits, what we were going to do is we were going to educate girls. If you educate a woman, you educate a family. Educated children do not fall victim to radicals. Right? They're not out on the street. They're not begging for food. They're not begging for water. They're not brought in and given shelter by these radicals and fundamentalists that end up turning these small children into weapons. If you want to stop that, if you want to strangle their recruitment base, you have to educate women. And it was an idea that was somewhat crazy, but people got behind, and then right out of the gate, we were immediately successful. We sold thousands of pairs of flip-flops because people believed in our idea and what we were going after and the change that we wanted to make. And then all of our failures started happening. Afghan border closure, the end of the war, material issues, which led to a 100% failure rate of our first run, a factory closure, a second factory closure, and we had made this huge bet, and so many people believed in us. They'd given us all of this money, and our backs were against the wall, and when push came to shove, we had to hustle. So my brother Andy, who's my business partner, and my other co-founder, Donald Lee, who was a fellow ranger with me, we said, we saw those things made in Afghanistan. It really didn't look too hard. So we made our first 3,500 pair in my garage in Issaquah, Washington. So this is where the Wall Street Journal comes in. Headline, an Afghan business tale, don't try this. Subheadline, world's toughest startup environment, add Army veterans, then bang head against the wall. That was the headline of the article. It was a half page of this dominant financial business publication that said what we were doing was absolutely impossible. But we've walked. All you veterans in the room, we've walked among people that believe in accomplishing the impossible. So we hustled, and we drove, and we led, and we ended up leading so many people that we were delivering products now from 4 war zones. We raised so much noise that we got invited to be on Shark Tank, crushed it on there. It's right to rapid success of our company. So, made it to Shark Tank. We're going to be, by spring 17, we're going to be delivering to some of the largest retailers on the planet, our footwear line. And this year to date, we've put over 160 girls in school. Right? You can make that change. You can complete the impossible, the quixotic. But what's the point of this story, and I'm speaking to my veteran brothers and sisters here, is if a bunch of hippie-looking rangers can make it with a flip-flop company out of Afghanistan, think about what you guys can do in your own communities. I encourage you, as you make this transition, continue to be leaders, continue to be problem solvers, continue to be American, be quixotic. My name is Matt Griffin. I'm a U.S. Army Ranger.